Hi, I'm Shannon Peck. I'm co-founder of TheLoveCenter, and I'm also a spiritual healer. I'd like to talk with you today about the journey to real love. And the aspect that I want to talk about is the journey. Because we're on a journey, every one of us. This is the human experience, and our hearts are on fire wanting to experience love, to feel that love, and to have that love in our relationships. And yet the journey is often ugly, and we've all been there. We've had our battle scars, we've had our battles, we've had our hurts and our share of resentments. We've found that places we could forgive and maybe places we haven't been able to forgive. And the journey is just, I just want you to understand, for some reason, that in the human experience we expect the journey to be all roses and beautiful and sunshine, but it looks more like a battleground, more or less, for most of us, because there are people who we've probably experienced who control, and they just have control issues, and the next thing you know, you don't know that someone's controlling you. They're smiling, they're saying I love you, or that I'm your dear friend, and yet you feel uncomfortable. You feel like you need to please them because you're getting pressure. And then that turns into guilt and shame, and all of this is part of the journey to real love. All of it. So I was married for 18 years. It was never a very happy relationship, but it was 18 years of my life. And when I look back on it, I don't look at that as a failure. Ever. I never have. I look back on that as part of my journey to real love, because I learned so much during those 18 years. I made a lot of mistakes, and so did he. And, you know, we fumble over each other, trying to love each other and trying to learn what it is to love, and not doing a pretty good job even of loving ourselves. I think that was the area that I mostly learned about, was that I'm a pretty compassionate person and loving. I've never really had a problem in that area. I get along fine with people. The area I had a problem with was probably over-loving everyone, making sure everyone was pleased and happy, and I had a tendency to overgive. So these things ultimately hurt us. They hurt us. We're hurting our feelings when we're stepping out of our own balance center and overgiving to someone, because we're making the equation ourselves unequal and less important than someone else. And generally loving people tend to do that. And I think I overlooked many ways of loving myself, including I really didn't see a need to set a boundary, for example. And today I do. Today I've learned the value of setting a boundary for myself and speaking up and saying no and saying yes in loving ways so that I can live with myself without guilt. I had to let go of and address first my own inner guilt and shame. I don't care who you are. Being raised is a difficult experience to go through. As children, we feel ashamed. We don't get it. We're not socialized. We don't understand about these rules that we're hearing. Don't cross the street, and we're stupid if we do. And we take in a lot. It's battering to our self-esteem. It just is. And it's part of the journey to real love. At some point in our lives, we need to address the shame and the guilt, all of it, that we have accepted for ourselves, that makes us less in our own eyes than we really are. And that, again, is part of the journey to real love, of loving ourselves. Here's what I really want to share with you about my own experience learning to love myself, because I want you to learn how to love yourself too. It's one of the greatest gifts of love that you can, and it's available to each of us, to give to ourselves. And that is to, I know that I was trying to understand, well, who is it that is me that I'm loving? Who is me? Who am I, that person inside that is worthy and deserving of all this love? And as I did a mirror exercise, perhaps you've thought of it or heard of it or done it yourself, but it's very effective, really. And it's an exercise of unconditional love. I looked in the mirror and I thought, oh, this is silly. Of course I love myself, but I'm going to do it anyway. I looked in the mirror, I was brushing my teeth, and I thought, okay, I'm going to give love to myself right now. And I looked in the mirror, and I just stared at myself, and I thought, okay, so give the love. And it took me a little while to open up my heart, and then I found myself giving love to myself, to that image in the mirror. And I didn't have to qualify myself. I didn't have to know who I was loving. Is it my personality? Is it me as a wife or a woman who's aging? Or, who is it that I'm loving? There was no qualification. It was just unconditional. And at that moment, I discovered, well, there's something so beautiful about just giving the love. Regardless of circumstances or anything, we don't have to fix ourselves first or get ourselves off the hook or forgive ourselves first. Just give ourselves the love that we pour out to dogs and puppies and babies and friends and lovers. Naturally, give it to ourselves. This can be a huge turning point in your journey to love, and one that will serve you with healing for the rest of your life, for sure. I discovered, looking in the mirror, loving myself, that I could create the presence of love on the spot, just at will. Just because I wanted and had the intention, I could evoke love into my experience. And not just a marginal amount, but it's pretty mammoth. And it felt so good to be so filled with love. And to point it at myself, I could have pointed it anywhere in the world, to anyone. But this time, I was pointing it to me, to myself. And I discovered that the me that I was loving, that was the me that was worthy of love. That was the identity that was receiving the love. And it's the formless me. It's the me that exists somewhere within this body and outside of body too. It's the me that reaches from its heart and opens wider and wider. And I found beauty in myself. I found that the love I was giving to myself was beautiful. And I wanted more. And as I wanted more, I gave more. And it continued to increase and increase until I was just absolutely filled with love. And that's something I practice on a regular basis. And I hope that my example will give you an idea of how to do this too for yourself, and that you will learn to and decide to simply open wide your heart, look at yourself in the mirror, do a mirror exercise, and give love to yourself unconditionally. I wish you all the love in the world on your journey to real love.